I'm warping my Ashford Inkle Loom, and I'm creating my stripe with a purple, yellow, and blue. Take a heddle string, insert it at the bottom of that, behind the warp, behind the top warp, and then just bring it under and double it over that. Then my next warp string is going to go between these two pegs. Back, under that peg, and then zigzag again, back and forth, and back and forth. One more time, above the top peg. Under the bottom peg here, and then back and forth, back and forth. Draw it around the first peg a couple of times. That'll hold your warp in place while you apply the other heddle to your heddle string or heddle warp that's on the goes through the top of your top peg, like this. Now I've finished my color stripe in the purple, and I'm going to go again between the two pegs, over the back, under the bottom peg here, wrap around the second peg from the end of the loom, and back and forth till you do all the pegs, and you get to the last one. From the last one all the way across the bottom through the front. Now here's where I'm going to do a color change. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to zoom in and demonstrate a color change. Now here's the end of the last peg at the end of my loom, my Inkle Loom, and I'm going to do a color change at this time. So I'm going to go back to my loom and demonstrate this color change. Now I have my scissors and I have the string wrapped around the peg here, this first peg, the starting peg, and I'm going to leave about 4 or 5 inches of string, maybe 6. Cut here, pick up my next color. My next color is this yellow or gold color. I'm going to match the ends, draw this taut, okay. I'm just going to make a simple basic overhand knot. Pinch it here and draw the knot through. Go back under and continue warping. Now I'm going to pan over to my heddle area. And continue warping the loom. Here's my string heddles. In between here. Down, over the top peg, under the peg, back and forth, last peg all the way through the bottom. Wrap it around twice, 3 times, whatever. It'll hold the string in place. Bottom peg, behind the warp, and back to the bottom peg. my next string is going to go in between these two pegs. This is going to be my open warp. Down the bottom of that bottom peg, second peg, back and forth, back and forth. And you continue repeating this process until you have completed warping the loom with your desired color stripes or strings or yarns. Hold it there again. Another string heddle behind the warp. In between, this is my open warp. Down the bottom of this string, this peg, around the second peg from the end. And then back and forth, zigzagging back and forth. The benefit of this is that it also gives you the longest warp possible. So you can make your longest strap possible. This was a bottom, this is going to be on the top. A heddle warp beneath the second peg from the heddle strings, and back and forth and back and forth. Pause right here. Put up my next heddle string, and underneath that. Make sure to keep all the knots to the bottom so they do not interfere with your shed when you open or when you close your shed. Okay? I got 4 of the yellow. My stripe is 4. And I'm going to do one more time to do a color change again. Cut that off. Pick up my next string. This was an open string in between these two, over the top. Pause. Another heddle string with the knot on top, behind the warp, over the warp, and back to the pedal with the knot in the bottom. Through the peg, the heddle string pegs, below the heddle string pegs, this is the open warp. All the way across the bottom, back around, over the top of the heddle string pegs, underneath, on the back, on the way back, and then back and forth and back and forth. Again, across the bottom, over, wrap it a few times, pause, take your heddle string, knot at the top, behind the warp, over the warp, with the knot at the bottom. Okay, now that I have finished warping the loom, I'm going to show you here at the very end how to finish tying the warp so that you can begin weaving. And this will be right here at the very beginning of the loom itself. Okay, so this is my last warp thread, and it goes through the in between the pegs here. Okay, so this is my first string, my first warp, and was tied off to the side. And so all you have to do is just simply tie them together. And I like to do this once, a half knot through the here, and then a half knot through the back, just slightly. Wrap it around the back just slightly, and then finish the other knot here in the front. And just do a full square knot here. And loose is fine. And there you have it. Now the loom is complete. There you have it, a completely warped Inkle Loom. Enjoy it and have fun weaving. Till next time.